Welcome to Latricia Creates. I am Latricia. In today's video, we're going to create chapstick holders using our sewing machine. Let's take a look at the materials for this project. For this project, I'm going to use 2 pieces of fabric, one piece that is a 2-inch square, one piece that is a 3.5 by 7.5 inch rectangle. I'm also going to use a piece of fusible interface. The fusible interfacing is 3 inches by 7 inches, a ruler, a key ring, a marking tool, a point turner, some scissors, an iron, and an ironing pad. I'm going to use this Cricut Easy Press Mini, but a regular household iron will do. I'm also going to use thread with matching bobbin and a sewing machine. You ready? Let's make it. The first thing I want to do is take my 2-inch square, fold it together, wrong sides together, give it a little iron, open it up, take one side, fold it into that center press or center crease. Do the same thing with the other side, being careful not to overlap the two sides. Then I'm going to fold it in half one more time and iron it down. Now I'm going to take this over to the sewing machine and I'm going to sew a stitch down both sides. Down this long side and this long side. I'm at the sewing machine. I'm ready to sew this down. I'm going to sew as close to the edge as possible. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use my pressure foot on the inside as my guide. So I'll finish now. I'm going to clean up these excess loose threads and I'll meet you back at the cutting table. I'm back at the cutting table. I have the little flap sewn together. Now what I want to do is I want to sew the fusible interfacing onto this piece of fabric. I'm going to sew the bumpy side of the interfacing onto the wrong side of the fabric. Did I say sew? I meant press. Now I want to take this piece of fabric, I'm going to fold it in half, right sides together, give it a little finger crease. If you didn't know, this point turner is also a creaser, so you can use this to crease it as well. Now what I want to do is I want to mark 3/4 of an inch from the fold. The reason why I'm marking 3/4 of an inch from the fold is because that's where we're going to put the tab. Flip it over. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Now I'm going to take the tab. I'm going to fold the tab in half. going to mark the center of the tab. The tab is a 1/2 inch, so I'm going to mark 1/4 of an inch. I'm going to do that on both sides. Now I'm going to match the marks that I made. Bring it up just a little bit more, probably about a 1/4 of an inch hanging out. And I'm going to take it to the sewing machine and sew it together. It's good to have pins or clips. I did not mention that in the materials list, but it is good to have pins or clips to hold this together. And if you are not really confident in sewing, you may want to pin or clip all around. What I'm going to do is I'm going to sew this down, but I'm going to leave an opening on the side. Maybe I'll put a mark here and here. Maybe a bigger opening, probably here, not here. Leave this opening to be able to turn it. And I'm going to head over to the sewing machine and I'll be back. I'm back at the sewing machine. I'm ready to sew the chapstick holder together. I'm going to use a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance, and I'm going to use my 2.6 stitch length. I'm going to use the edge of the presser foot on this side for my guide. I am back at the cutting table. What I'm going to do now is clip the corners, making sure not to clip into the stitching. And the purpose of that is to make sure that the corners aren't bulky and we're able to have nice corners when it's all said and done. I'm also going to clip these excess threads without clipping into the knot. Now I'm going to flip it right side out. Grab my point turner and get these corners poked out. Now I'm going to give it a nice press. Make sure I have my seam folded all the way in there because we're going to go back to the sewing machine one more time and sew it all together. We want to make sure that the seam gets caught in when we sew. Now I want to fold it up about 3 inches or so. Actually, I'm going to leave a 1/2 inch right here. I'm going to grab my ruler again. turn this down. I'm going to go back to the sewing machine. I'm going to sew a stitch completely around the perimeter of the holder. I'm going to use the same 2.6 stitch length, and I'm going to sew not a 1/4 of an inch, but probably 1/8 of an inch. I'm going to use the inside of this part of the foot this time. The holder is done. Now we need to add the key ring. Now all it needs is some chapstick, which I have right here. And here we have it, our handmade chapstick holder. I hope you are able to make some as well, and I hope you got something out of this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, keep creating.